In previous tutorials, we've focused on getting information into Bookends, importing references and PDFs. But Bookends is much more than just a reference aggregator. Bookends is a powerful formatting tool capable of creating sophisticated bibliographies, footnotes, and citations in hundreds of different formats. We can see a list of the installed formats by going to Biblio Formats Manager. Bookends comes with hundreds of different formats already installed, but there may be times when you need to modify a format or create an entirely new one. Let's take a look at what goes into building a format. For this example, we're going to look at Chicago 15th A. Bookends is very versatile, allowing you control over almost every detail. Because of this, there are a lot of options when creating a bibliography format. It can look a little overwhelming at first, so let's take it one step at a time as we go through the basics. We'll start in the bibliography options. This will determine how the reference appears in a bibliography, which is usually generated when you scan a document. First, let's take a look at the type. By changing the type, we can tell Bookends to do different things with different kinds of publications, like articles, books, and websites. The field order is the meat of the format. This tells Bookends what reference fields to use, like author, title, and journal, what order to use them in, and how to punctuate them. For Chicago style, we have author followed by a period. Then we have a title with a period in quotes. The F stands for full journal title. $signs come in pairs, and they tell Bookends to include whatever is in between them exactly as written. In this case, it is the prefix for the issue number. Rather than memorize the letter codes for each field, we can use this handy menu to choose what we need. There are also menus for punctuation and special characters. Notice how, whenever we change anything, we can see a sample of the new format at the bottom of the window. For example, let's say we don't want to show the issue number. Once I click outside of the field order box, we can see the new format updated at the bottom of the window. I'll just undo that change to restore Chicago to its original pristine condition. Notice how the issue number prefix is back at the bottom of the window. Moving to the left, we can change the order of the author's and editor's names. We can control the punctuation of names in this tab. But back to the bibliography options. This window is full of other little dials and switches you can play with to get the details just right. That handles the bibliography. Now we can move on to how Bookends handles the citations within your text. One important technical note. While a bibliography can be generated as a standalone block of text, citations are something that Bookends creates when you scan a document. This is how you turn a draft with temporary citations into a finished document with in-text citations and footnotes ready for publication. Chicago 15th A uses a custom style, but we'll come back to that in a moment. The format I use most often is number, which we can select in the menu at the top of the screen. This simply means that Bookends will number the references in the order they are cited. Another common format Bookends can handle easily is author date. But some formats are more complicated, which is where custom comes in handy. This is an example from an essay I wrote in college. See here how I introduced the book by Ralph V. Turner in citation number 5. Later on the same page, I cite different pages in the same book. Because I've already introduced it, I only need the author and the pages. Bookends can handle this with the subsequent field here, under the custom format. Now let's put this all together by building a simple format of our own from scratch. It's easiest to base your new format on an existing one. Let's pretend we want to create a variation on the Journal of the American Chemical Society format. Select it, then click on the button at the bottom of the screen. For this tutorial, we'll create a new journal article format, and we'll delete everything in the field and start from scratch. I'll just make up a sample we can use. Now we can go back and add styles for each field. By italicizing the T, we italicize the title field in the final product. Similarly, bolding the V will make the volume field bold. When we click outside the field order box, we can see the changes reflected at the bottom of the window. Now you could go on to create formats for other types of publications. One final note. By ticking the checkbox next to each name, you can get it to appear in the drop-down menus that refer to formats. Notice how JAX 2.0 is now an option.